What's up everyone, welcome back to part 2 of the live build. In today's video we'll be going the next step to actually publishing this web app, and we're going to be adding a Clerk authentication layer as well as adding Pinecone, which we spoke about at the very end of yesterday's video. Now if you haven't watched the first video, I'd recommend you go back and watch the first part of the build where we added Obsidian as the backend and added a very light front end UI. It was like 2 prompts worth inside of Claude Code. Now, to explain what the difference between Obsidian and Pinecone is, basically Obsidian is the markdown editor where you write everything, and Pinecone is the search index for the AI. So that's how the chatbot finds the right notes when someone asks a question. They're not alternatives, they're completely different layers. So I write in Obsidian, then Pinecone will then index what I wrote, and then the chatbot will then query Pinecone directly. They're 3 different tools, but inside of one direct pipeline. Now let's have a recap very quickly what we did in yesterday's video. Let me pull up the interface so you guys can see what I can see. Where are we? Here we go. So this was the result of what we got to at the very end of yesterday's video. Now it looks much better than the first prompt, but essentially we can now prompt directly and it will show us where, in what file it's coming from, and it responds in like 2 seconds. Now we're using ChatGPT 4o Mini, which is a very light and cheap LLM model. Essentially it's just for pulling and extracting data. We don't need any Opus level stuff. Now you will need to come over here and create a Pinecone account. So just sign in and create the first API or the first API key that will pop up when you create the account. Then you just want to come back over to, let's change it back to anti-gravity so you guys can see what I'm doing. Then you want to paste it inside of your .env file so your Claude Code can then access it. Now, I'm not going to leak my keys again so I don't have to go and blur that. But once you've done that, then you should be all good to go. Now, before we get into this next round, we're going to create a new chat just so our context window doesn't get destroyed and we can maintain the good quality of stuff that we were producing yesterday. So just quickly, when you do this, you will have to quickly change the permissions back and make sure your effort level is on extra high. So let's start off. Let's just get Claude Code to give us an audit of where it was up to. So yes, we want to audit this. Audit this next.js project. I can't type, my mic's in the way. Audit this next.js project to see where we're up to. So while that's doing that, we're going to do the Pinecone stuff first, and then we're going to add the Clerk authentication layer. Now, you can use Supabase. I just despise Supabase because within 1 week, if you don't use it, it'll deactivate the project, which is incredibly annoying. And Clerk's a little bit more leaner and far more less annoying to use, basically. So it doesn't just clunk out on you. And then after that, what we'll do is we'll publish it to GitHub and then host it on Vercel so you can actually log in and it will be to a live web URL. So that link you can share to all of your employees and they can log in with their credentials as well. Now in this video, we'll only create 1 set of credentials. It'll just be like admin just to illustrate the point to you guys, but you can easily go ahead via Claude Code and just ask it to create more users. And that's the correct part about having these LLM models inside of our IDEs, like Anti-Gravity and Cursor and VS Code, is that you don't actually have to think about and keep going back and forth between ChatGPT and then coming back to your IDE because it's all in the one centralized place and it can read all of your files. So where we're up to is we have our next.js stack all there with all of our Tailwind, and we've got these 3 main pages, which is just technical jargon. You don't need to worry about that. But essentially, it's going to analyze the site and it's saying that we should rotate the keys because it's it's not in the repo, so that's good. So it'll treat it as leaked. So you will want to rotate that, but it's fine for this purpose, but just something else to keep in mind as well. So this is all fine now. So we're going to move on with the next prompt. Where are we? So we're going to want to set up Pinecone. Literally, you can just speak to it in plain language using the existing Pinecone API key in the .env app, in the .env file. And we want to say create an index called the same name as our parent folder, which you can see up the top here, where all of your files are stored under. And then we want to say, actually, let's just see what it does. I'm trying to do as little as possible so you guys don't think I'm doing anything overly technical. So if you're not really experienced with code, you can get started straight away. So I will try and use plain language with the prompting, because prompt engineering is really important. In fact, I'll do a video in the coming days about Prometheus, which is a cracked prompt engineering tool. But I want to try and make it so that my prompts are as simple and non-technical as possible, so that you guys can follow along. Now, while that is generating, let's have a look at the. Actually, no, that should be fine. But essentially, we're going to want it to create a sync vault TypeScript file, which will essentially read every markdown file. We'll chunk each file by a heading, and then it will also generate embeddings, upserts to Pinecone's metadata, and all that other technical stuff which it will need. Well, it's almost. Oh, it has just leaked my key. That's fine. We will edit that out. Whoopsies. Now that was my fault because I didn't tell it not to show it in the chat. So totally my bad. Then what we will do is we'll actually npm run the vault so we can actually get it to show up. And then from there, we will get it to switch over to Pinecone. And then we'll add the authentication layer after that's all good. Now, it is going to... Wait, is it done? Yes, it is. Very good. Now it's waiting on one decision, and it's... Yeah, sure, let's reply go. Let's see what it does. I'm going to flick back very quickly to my Pinecone, which you guys can't see currently. It hasn't done anything yet. Okay, no worries. Let's see. This might take a while. Fingers crossed it doesn't. Okay, it's writing the script now. Good-o. Now, while you guys are waiting for that to run its course, let's talk about how we're actually going to deploy it, and let's look at the structure. So essentially, let me pull up... Actually, I'll pull up a Miro board while we're waiting for all this, because I think it's important for you non-technical folks out there to understand why we're using not just GitHub to host it, but we're also using Vercel as well, which I spoke about briefly in the last video. But just to recap, let me pull my screen back to Chrome for a second. So essentially, if you think of where GitHub is your main code base, it's where all your files are uploaded to. Obviously, mine at the git ignore stuff, but essentially we need it to be injected with all of the npm stuff that we run at the end of a change. So we go npm run dev to re-inject all of those packages into the new live build, and then from there we see the result. However, unfortunately on GitHub it's all static, so we need to simulate the process basically by pushing them to Vercel. Now the good part about Vercel obviously is both of these tools are free, so they don't cost any money. But we need to recreate basically the local environment on a published URL. So GitHub has all the files, and then you connect your Vercel, which we'll do at the very end, which I've already done, but I'll run you guys through it. Essentially, you connect your Vercel to your GitHub, so then straight away, without you having to do anything, it auto updates. So it pulls your GitHub files into the environment inside of Vercel, and then from there, it'll be all good to go to run. So that's why we do what we do, essentially. So let's have a look back at anti-gravity and let's see if it has finished doing its thing. Yes, it has. Very good. So let me check actually. Okay, good. Now we've done a bit of a runaround. We're going back to Chrome. So now inside of my indexes, we have the first vault, which is cool. Now we haven't actually added anything. We've just formally created it. But next, we're going to actually commit all of the stuff from, what is it called, Obsidian, into our vault. So let's go and do that very quickly. Should really have one of those, what those streamers have, so I can quickly go back and forth. Now I want you to commit all the knowledge from Obsidian into, oh my gosh, I'm having a mind blank. Into Pinecone. There we go. So in terms of a process, we're pushing everything from Obsidian into Pinecone, and then we're going to get the app to reference, or we're going to get ChatGPT 4.0 mini to pull directly from Pinecone as opposed to pulling directly from Obsidian. And why we're doing that, like we said in the beginning, is because we need to ensure that all of the data is fixed and solid. Whereas Obsidian is just where you think. It's more of a layer for connecting the dots and more of a planning stage, whereas Pinecone is the actual vault, like a filing cabinet that you pull from that's non-changing, and it's also a faster execution as well. So it may take a little bit of time. It's going to It's going to ask us some clarifying questions. That's great. No, it's not. It just told us what it did. That's okay. Now, the cost of this is very minimal, like it said to you. And now it's going to create that script inside of that file. It's probably going to be in here. Yes, it is. So we're going to let that run and do its thing. And then while we wait, now that everything, we can probably open up another chat to start the authentication layer. That's a good part, actually. I'll show you guys how to do that as well, because we can have both going at the same time. Now I want you to install Clerk, in brackets just in case it has any confusion, the authentication, so that multiple users can access this. Oh, before that, let's just change it to bypass permissions. Can access this with their relevant chat history. Oh, I'm adding an extra L. Relevant chat history. Obviously now we're going to have to create another login front end page. So obviously you're going to have to create another login / register page. Ensure to use the same styling that we used for the main page. We're ready for the main page. Okay, so that's the good part about this. Now that's going to run, and now we can go back to see where it was up, or where it was at. So let's have a look back in the Pinecone Chrome tab to see if it's added anything. Yes, it has. Let me show you guys my eyes so you can see what I'm looking at. So now it's gone through and added all of these different files, all of these MD files that were previously inside of Obsidian, which is great. So now we need to get it to pull from this source directly. So let's go back to Claude Code inside of anti-gravity. Now this is great. I need you to ensure that you are pulling the data now from Pinecone as opposed to Obsidian, which you were doing previously. Okay, let's check on the Clerk installation. Let's see how it's going. Very good. Now let's check to see if we've missed anything so far. No, we are on track currently. This is good. So far we've actually set the Clerk authentication up and going. So that's creating in the background. And now we're also changing the Pinecone, or basically the core central of information, over from Obsidian over to Pinecone now that we've added our API key and linked it. So before it's doing the Clerk layout, it wants to just double check with us that it wants to do all of this. And yes, proceed. So it's also asking us, it's currently stored locally. Recommend a, yeah, we could probably go ahead with that. So now let's check to see, okay, that's still going as well. So that might take some time because it's completely redirecting all the informational flow. So what else can we look at in the interim? Let's have a look. Switching, yes. Clerk, yes. Okay, cool. It's created a to-do list. Let's see if it follows this. If you remember to part 1 of this video, it didn't follow it the first time around, but the second time it did. So let's see if this list is going to be followed. Now, the cool part is as well, like I was mentioning before, how they're working in unison. So you can create as many of these agents as humanly possible. Not in there, that's the commit. But we can create as many sessions as possible and have Claude Code running simultaneously at the same time, which is incredibly efficient and cool at the same time. Now, is there anything? No. Okay, we're good. Now we have to wait, annoyingly, for a little bit because it's still going. Now, this is the other thing to keep in mind as well, is because there are two things going at the same time, it may take a little longer because it's running. So now we've got our Clerk folder created. Now, I don't think we have to provide any sort of API keys for Clerk. I don't think so. Okay, so now let's double check. Let's go back to the vault inside of Pinecone. You guys can't see this, sorry. Give me 1 second. I don't think anything else has changed on that front. No, it hasn't. No, cool. So now that that is no longer being used, Pinecone is now fully chat-backed, which is great. And now the authentication is still going as well. So we're going to have to get it to reroute, obviously, because when you load it up, it's currently just going to, it was going to the base app page, but okay, good. Now it's adding all of this. So let's go back to the, okay, cool. Let me transfer you guys over. So now this is the Clerk sign up. So it's already got a Google authentication, which is great. And it's also got this. So for now, we'll just create a random email address and random password just to prove it to you. Obviously, the Google authentication is very straightforward, like you guys would usually do. But let's test to see if. Let me pull up a random email that I have, because it'll probably send an email verification as well. What's a random one we can use? It's almost done. Okay, now let's double check. Okay, it's adding the user ID. That's important. This isn't going to be a quick process, just so you guys know. There is a lot of waiting because obviously it's writing a lot of code. So you can almost set something off, go back and get a drink, come back, because it'll probably take that amount of time. Now, let's use... The other one was done. Very good. Okay. Come on. Almost there. So let's... It should be fine now. It's just verifying everything and making sure all the packages are working in unison and that there's no errors. So if we inspect the panel, where are you on Claude Code? Let's have a look. Are there any errors? Just a little one. That's fine. That's not harming anything. So currently it is now done. Sweet. Okay, so let's go and create an account. I'm pulling from some random email I created a long time ago. And we'll just create the password to be admin. No, I don't want that password, Google. Go away. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as the password. So that will create the account. Oh, it's going to be annoying now. Okay. Is it going to allow that? No, it's being very annoying. Well, let's just make it the name. It's going to allow that. It is, very good. Now, it is going to send you an email password, a verification code, which is great. Just copy and paste that into the session like so, and then from there, we should be good. Cool. Now, there is going to be a problem, which it did do. Very good. Now, is it going to be in the console? So we can actually screenshot this and give it to Claude Code. No, it's not. Oh, maybe it's just because we verified. Maybe now we can actually log in properly. So it couldn't find the account. Okay. Cool. Now this is good. Let's try and troubleshoot why this is happening. So we want to screenshot. Actually, what if we try and go sign in? So remembers our account from before. Let's go back to Claude Code and tell it the problem we're having, and let's see how it can troubleshoot this the best. So paste in that screenshot and go, I created my account. Let's just use text-to-speech. This will go faster. And verified with the code that it sent to the email, but then it logged me out, and now it's saying it doesn't recognize the account that was created. Please try and fix this. So let's send that off and let's see what it comes back with, because this is also another common problem that you'll often find is particularly when you are creating logins, there's going to be some problem with storing the login data, or it's not going to remember creating the authentication setup. So I actually kind of want there to be as many errors as possible in this, so you guys can see that there are a lot of problems, and hopefully you encounter some of these as well. Okay, so that's the Vault stuff is all done. Cool. So now the Pinecone stuff is all done. Now we're going to add the authentication layer. Let me check over here with my list of stuff that we need to do. The Clerk stuff is being added, and then we can deploy. Cool, we are almost at the end. So cool, it's identified already 2 things that are wrong, which is great. And then it should have a solution for us. There'll probably be a mapping problem somewhere. I don't know if you saw, but in the bottom left-hand corner, if you rewind in the video, you'll see that there was a little next.js error that popped up right before it logged us out. So there was sort of an authentication layer issue towards the end. Yeah, right there. So just go through and click on the files as well, because sometimes they don't appear with the errors, and you should find them. If you come down to the bottom left, you'll see that it says no problems, but as soon as you click on that problematic file, it's going to show you the problem. So some more API key leakage. Great. Let's see. Okay, so now it wants us to restart the session. So that's... So let's literally follow its instructions. So let's go... Well, technically, it created the server for us. So we're going to tell it to stop the server as you created it. And then we'll also paste this inside of Claude Code as well, so you can see directly what the error is. So this is the main error in the authentication files. Where's it up to? Okay, cool. So now it has completely killed the server. And now let's paste that in so it can go away and fix that. Because let's have a look at what the list was. So it says stop it, then start it again, and then it should be directed to that sign-in page, and then it wants us to create the account. Now, let's give it that error first, because... Cool, that was quick. Now let's just start that server manually. Let's just go npm run dev, and it'll create it that. Clearly not. Just tell it to start the server. It'll save you from having to deal with that problem. Cool. Now let's just confirm as well. Now just to confirm, is the Clerk auth linked to my account or not? So let's see if it's actually managed to link to the account. Now, if it hasn't, that could also be why the logins aren't successfully being stored. Okay, cool. So yes, that's why. So let's go over to Clerk. Let me do this with you guys. So go to Clerk, let you just Google it, and then create an account. Let me bring you guys back to where I am. So then you'll be brought to this screen like this, and then you will want to create an application. That's fine for now. We only need Google. You can add a whole bunch of other cool stuff as well. And then, if you guys are lazy, let's copy this and let's go back to anti-gravity. And then let's paste from the Clerk project. So now that basically just copied all of those prompts, or yeah, all of these prompts inside of this setup, inside of our direct project. And so then from there, we probably don't need this stuff. No, we don't need the docs. That's fine, because we have Claude Code. Now, this way, it'll create all of the logins and link it to our direct account. So it's fixed, or it's found the one leaking thing inside of the violations of the rules. So now it's going to go ahead and fix that. And then after that's finished, then we should be able to try again, and it should successfully be able to save all of our authentication stuff correctly. Now let's also just double check. Probably doesn't have any users here yet. Okay, cool. Let's go back to anti-gravity. Okay, so let's copy this URL and come over to new tab and paste. Oh, that didn't copy properly. Let's try that again. Actually, no, it did copy properly. It just didn't. We don't need the comment as well. Sorry, you guys can't see what I'm doing. Okay, yes, that's fine. Application, let's just call it, what are we going to call it? Let's just call it the workflows vault. Cool, now we're going to copy all of that and go back inside of Claude Code to anti-gravity, and we're going to go down to the .env.local file, and we're going to add that secret key into your .env environment. So I have pasted my keys, but for some reason it's not. So we can just skip that for now. And then we can go ahead with configuring the instance. So from there, that should be fine. Now let's go back inside of the Claude Code environment. So, sorry, you guys can't see what I'm doing. Now we're going to say that we have successfully configured the Clerk login page with all of the details, and all of the keys are now pasted in the relevant files. Now start the live server again so we can attempt to log in if it isn't already active. So that actually may be live. Let me check. No, it's not. Okay, cool. So it will... Let's bring us back. Okay, cool. So now it's added the colors as well into our login page. So now let's see... I don't know what random email that is put there. Now let's try this login thing. Let's try creating an account again with everything. Well, I don't know why we zoomed out. There we go. Now let's just go Jack. Let's just put the name of this random account, and then let's go continue, and let's see if it's going to successfully create us an account after we verify the captcha. It's going to get us to verify again. So now that it's under our direct account, now it should remember this login. So let's see how it does. Cool. Great success. Now it is going... Oh, we have to change that. It says powered by the Obsidian Vault in the bottom left. That's not correct, but that's fine. So now we've successfully created the authentication login as well. And now we can create... now let's just ask it some questions. Let's see if it's going to successfully pull from the vault. Okay, so let's paste a screenshot of this into the Claude Code session again. And let's say the authentication has worked successfully. You just need to change the writing in the bottom left corner to say that it's no longer pulling from the Obsidian vault, but that it's now pulling from the Pinecone data. And I need you to please confirm that that is exactly where it's pulling it from. Whether you need me to enter a command into the dev console inside of Chrome to confirm this, just let me know. So for those of you guys debugging who aren't developers, using the dev console inside of Chrome is a really great way to actually debug where the source of the data is pulling from, because by a simple command inside of that terminal, it'll very quickly tell you where it's pulling from. So before it even gives us that prompt, oh sorry, you guys didn't see what I just did. But let's have a look at where this data is being pulled from. If you click here, you can actually isolate the element on the page. Any details in here? Okay, so that's not telling us, so that's great. So now let's go back, let's go to the console for now, and we can clear this. Let's go back so you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, so now it's saying that it has updated the sidebar footer now to say now it's being powered by the Pinecone vector search, which is great. And now it is also saying that it is confirming that Pinecone is the source. So now it directs straight to there, which is great. So now we don't need a dev school command because the Claude Code session has already confirmed it for us. So now basically we're up to the final stage, which is publishing this to be live inside of GitHub and also inside of Vercel as well. So let's go over to github.com, which is a free hosting site in case you guys haven't used it before. And we're just going to click create on new project, and we're going to call this the workflows vault. We don't need a description. We just go create project or create repo from there. And if you are lazy or you don't want to mess anything up because you're afraid of doing so, just take a screenshot of that, come back inside of Claude Code and literally just say, add it to my GitHub. And it should go away and do that. Now, if this is your first time linking your GitHub into your IDE of choice, you will have to go through and authenticate it, but obviously I have added mine before, so the authentication layer on that side is already done. And then make sure also that you've got a Vercel page ready to go as well, because we will also have to link the Vercel page directly into the GitHub repo of our choice as well. So now it is also going to push back, which is great because of some of the risks, because of all of those keys. So okay, so if I'm just trying to act like I was you guys who are doing this for the first time. So yes, actually, we only want it to do this. And this is the other good thing as well. So all of the Obsidian Vault is being stored locally as well as on the cloud. So now it's suggesting that A, we either only push the front end, which is recommended, B, it's going to push the whole project, which we don't need, or it's going to push the front end now and make the repo private. So you will need to pay to make the repo private on GitHub. So let's just go with option A and let's push it because it's public. And it won't push any of, because it should have the .env stuff is also, yes, cool. So none of that stuff goes live. So we'll have to add those keys into the Vercel front end, into the Vercel layer at the very end. So while it's going ahead and doing that, let's come over to Vercel very quickly. Let me change my screen. There we go. So now this is, after you log in, this is what your Vercel account should look like. So you can just come over here and go add new and click add project. Then you want to link your GitHub into this. So it's already picked mine up, and then you just want to go authorize. And just like that, it should be linked. Now, just you want to go and link the account just one more time. It might do that. That's fine. It will send an email to you. So just go ahead and verify that. Well, we just copy and paste that code, and then you should be good to go. Great. So just like that, the workflows vault is now there. And let's see, has it done the syncing yet? Let's go. Cool. So we are good on that front. And then we just want to click import the workflows vault inside of this. Now we will need to, okay, so let's take a screenshot of this and let's go back to anti-gravity to get, so what would you guys ask? Now that the GitHub stuff is live, I want to commit it to Vercel on a live link. Confirm for me, please, that I will have to add my .env keys manually and guide me on how to do so. So you can literally just talk to Claude Code like you would like your normal browser, and it will help guide you through that process if you haven't done it before. So it has said it's successfully pushed now, and it's giving you the link of the repo, and it's saying that the front end was successfully pushed. So all of the chat functionality and all that stuff, and the Pinecone indexing as well. Now what has stayed local is all of the keys on the .env file, and also all of the Clerk authentication and the node modules. Like we spoke about in the part 1 of this video, we don't want to be pushing all of the node modules because that's what Vercel is for, and then we'll inject them in the final stages as well. So now it's saying that you want to import the .env at the very bottom of the invariables card. So if you come back over to your browser where you had all of this stuff, now we've expanded all of them. So you just want to come down to the very bottom. You can go import your .env, and you can literally just come over to, it'll open up where your project is currently being hosted, and you can then import all that stuff like so. So just like that, we have, it has added all of our keys, and then we can just click deploy. And then it will go ahead and start injecting all those packages. So you don't have to manually paste all of your codes one by one. You can just import the file directly, and from there it will populate it all for you. So let's just recap what we did very quickly. So now we are pulling directly from Pinecone as opposed to where we were pulling from Obsidian before. We've now created a front-end authentication layer, so you can now register and sign in with your Google account, and you could easily come back over to Clerk and add any other platforms you'd like. So it's got our user, which is great. We don't need to go into that. We can easily add any other Google. We've got Google currently. You can add Facebook, GitHub, any other types of logins you would like to add. And now we are pushing it finally. Okay, cool. Some errors. Goody. Now let's come down to find where those errors are. And we want to, where can I copy this? Copy and come back over to anti-gravity. And we're going to paste that into Claude and say, these are the errors I got. Please help me fix them. So let's see at a quick glance if we can tell what the error is. It's a Clerk error. So now it's going to go through and verify just to ensure that there aren't any other errors that are hiding. Yes, there it is. Okay, Claude's just fixed that. I think that was the only problem that was currently there. Yeah, cool. Okay, let's try, after that does its thing, then we're going to go back into redeploy. So let's go back into Google Chrome or your browser of choice that you're using. And then we want to go, or we want to wait a couple of seconds, obviously, because now it's going to push to GitHub first. And then once it's at GitHub, then we can push up to Vercel. So it should have enough time. Let's go and reload the page and let's redeploy. And let's see if that's fixed the issue. Now, if you have a dedicated domain you guys want to use, you can easily link that as well. So it doesn't look like some Vercel URL. It can be your company domain of choice. You can create a subdomain as well if you want. So like chat.yourdomain.com or .au, depending on where you are in the world. That's also another great option. So it's doing its thing. This build process should usually take about 20 to 60 seconds max, depending on the size. But for this project, considering it's fairly lean, because we're not hosting that much stuff, because it's all on external backend sources like Pinecone, also like Obsidian as well. If it gets to the 30-second mark and we don't have any errors, we should be good. I don't want to jinx it though. It's compiling the TypeScript. This is good. Okay, good sign. Okay, this is looking very positive. This is good. Now, everything... Yes, nice. Now we are live. So let's go to the dashboard. And of course, I just saw an internal error. But let's go to the app. Okay, so the good part is now it's compacted everything correctly. But now let's go back. Let's look at the logs. Was there anything? There was no errors. Oh, there was. Okay, cool. So let's... let's try and copy one of these and paste it back into Claude Code. Let's transfer you guys over. So now it's successfully published inside of Vercel. However, there were some errors when I loaded the page, as it wasn't taking me to the login page. So we've pasted the screenshot. Vercel, no, not Vercel. And let's also go and paste the current state of the page as well, where it just had that blank internal server error. Let's go back into the main. Let's see what it's going to think about what the error was. So it's missing the published key. That's odd. Well, we pasted that. Let's go double check. Let's go into the development settings. Oh, sorry, you guys can't see what I'm doing. Okay, so now that we're back inside of all of this, let's go and quickly... Oh, oops, wrong button. Let's go and look at all of this, because obviously we're going to need to... All that build was fine. So weird how the build was fine, but it didn't. So let's go back over to anti-gravity. And actually, no, first let's go check these settings. Environment variables. Maybe that might be our problem. Oh, that's why it created two different apps. Is this one going to work? Yes. Okay. What the hell? that was so random. Okay. Okay. That is so weird. Now, if you're unsure about anything, always ask Claude. Never risk ruining something. So let's go back to anti-gravity, and let's just say, for some reason, it created two projects, which is bizarre. Can we delete the second one, which isn't necessary? Now, obviously, we can delete the second one, but always just to be on the safe side. This shouldn't take very long to think. Thinking. Okay, so while that's doing that, now let's come back to Chrome. So now we can log in with our friendly account as before. Now it's going to send another code to the email, which you can verify. And then just like that, you're all logged in, but there should be a conversation that appeared here. So let's go and ask Claude that as well. Let's change these settings back. So it said before deleting, it just wants to confirm which one to keep. So yes, obviously it's saying keep the clean one. Cool. Now also we want to double check. When I was using this in the local environment, I had another chat window under that account, but since publishing it, it doesn't seem to be there. Why is this, and how can we fix it? So whilst that is doing that, let's come back over to the Chrome tab and let's go and remove that other Vercel app, which we don't need, with that random suffix. So come down to settings, scroll all the way down to the bottom, just click delete project and just copy and paste that. These two items, we don't need this. Cool, that'll take a minute to delete. And let's go back and let's see what Claude has. Okay, so now it's flagged a local limitation. Let's have a look what it said. So it says the chat history lives in local storage, which is scoped per domain, not per user. Okay, so now it's saying to fix this, we need server-side chat storage. So it's saying Vercel has an option, Supabase also has an option, and Vercel KV, we won't use that. That means we're going to have to migrate your existing localhost chats over. If the Vercel option is easy to do, go ahead with that. So it's saying it's going to take 30 minutes, which it's not, but that was also another thing I forgot to think of as well. So that was all being stored in our local files inside of that app folder. But now, obviously, because we're publishing it to a live link, basically, it wasn't submitted with that. So it's saying that it would lean towards Supabase, which is interesting, but obviously we know how much of a pain Supabase is, and we don't particularly want to do that. So let's see how it goes with the Vercel Postgres storage, and if it's too difficult, then we can look at Supabase. But just keep in mind, guys, that if you do use Supabase and if you don't use it for a week, like a staff member doesn't ask a clarifying question, doesn't even open it, and doesn't even log in, it will, unfortunately, if you're on the free plan, it will deactivate temporarily. Still thinking. Let's look at where so that GitHub is fine now. Sorry, you guys can't see what I'm doing. Let's look at how hard it's going to be, or how annoying it's going to be to add that Postgres stuff into. Is it going to be here on the menu? No, it's not. That's okay. Let's let Claude do this. Okay, now it's coming back with something. Very good. So now it's saying that the Vercel dashboard wants us to go. So let's follow its instructions. So go back to the storage tab. Wherever that is. Storage. Oh, sorry, you guys can't see what I'm doing. I keep forgetting to do that. So come down to storage. And we're going to want to create a database. And we want it to be Postgres. So we don't want to create. Super-based. So obviously we don't have that option natively. So let's take a screenshot and go back to Claude and paste that in and say, actually, because this is still running, what we'll do is we'll create another Claude tab and we'll paste that in and say, I can't see Postgres here natively. What should we do? So it's saying that, okay, so now Vercel has retired their native thing, so we can't use that. We've got to use Neon. That's fine. Now, Neon is also a free alternative that I would use over Superbase. So let's go and add that. Yep, all that stuff is fine. You can leave it on the recommended. Cool, just like that. Easy done. Now let's connect our Vault project. And just like that, we have got a database. So let's go and... Oh, we've already connected that. We don't need to do that. But what we do need to do is we need to add some of these keys. So let's go back to... Is there a bulk copy button like there was before? No, there wasn't. Okay, so just copy literally all of that and come back over to... that's still going. I'm sorry, you guys couldn't see what I just did. Essentially, what I was doing was I just went through the setup of using Neon just because Claude retired their previous built-in Postgres. So we linked up our project into Neon. Now we just need to get Claude to actually go ahead and add all of that stuff. So below is the instructions from Neon. Go ahead and do that. So that is going to fire everything off. No, so now it remembers that Postgres is no longer available inside of Vercel. Interesting. I'm surprised it didn't pick that up beforehand. So this is actually, luckily we were just testing. So it says it won't do the chats that were stored locally, but it can do it if you want it. So, I mean, obviously, we'll actually try and transfer them in case you guys started doing stuff locally and now you want them on the live side. That's fine. We'll do that at the end. So now it's saying that it wants to flag that it doesn't fit. So it's saying that, yes, we know that. So it's saying there's a problem with this installation. Let's open inside of Neon. So if you guys haven't created an account, go ahead and do that. So let's have a look at what the issue is and why it's not wanting to do that. So let's just ask it. Let me transfer my screen back. So what is the issue with Neon? You literally told me to use it. So don't be afraid, guys, particularly if you are new to the coding world and this sort of interface is overwhelming to you. Feel the need to push that back or push back on it like I just did here. And even it said, you're right to call that out because it will just say stuff to you. And if you don't push back on it, it'll just agree with you. So if something doesn't check out, like it's saying that doing the Neon integration would go ahead and harm it, literally just tell it. You literally told me to do that. What's the problem? So it's saying Neon is fine. The tutorial you pasted is the problem. So then it's saying the actual setup for the project is blah, blah, blah. And now it's saying, I just need, what are you using the database for? So don't you just tell it we're storing files like .md files and any other files that we want. Shouldn't matter the type. As long as it's not a video, then you're all good to go. So while that's thinking, this one was done as well. Okay, cool. So now I'm surprised it didn't pick that up in the earlier stage. Yeah, so this is good as well. So to answer your two questions, that's fine if you want to split them, but we just need to be able to store multiple different types of files, whether it's .md files and other documents like Word files or PDFs as well. So if you had to split between Blob and Postgres, that's fine. Blob is such a stupid name. Now, in terms of who owns the files, we do want them mapped to the specific Clerk ID because actually, no, we don't need that because it'll just be bulk uploaded by the admin. So let's just say that. In terms of who owns the files, all users will be searching for the same files and have access to the same pool, so it doesn't really matter. It doesn't need to be tied to a user ID. Blob. So let's go back inside of Vercel to quickly have a look at that integration. Okay, let's let Claude Code do its thing. And let's go. So let's go and create a database. So this blob database is the one it was referring to. But before we do that, it's probably going to throw us another curveball. So let's just wait in case. It's probably fine, but so no work done there. Cool. So now it's going to ask us the 3 things I need from you. Have you clicked create on Neon and blob in Vercel? So let's go create the blob. That's fine to create that. So now let's go and connect that. So let's copy that and let's come back over to our .env file and paste that in. And we want to also add that into our variables section inside of Vercel, but we can do that in a minute actually. Let's go back inside of anti-gravity and say I have added the blob key inside of the .env file. Let me know if there are anything else or any other files that are needed before we proceed. You should see, actually that's a good point. We didn't actually get the database URL. Let's go back and grab that. So let's, where are we? Let's get out of that. Let's come back into this. So this stuff, you need to copy that snippet and come back inside of the .env file and paste all that stuff in there. That'll solve all your problems, or all our problems. So now let's go back inside of anti-gravity and say that all of the necessary keys required are inside the .env file. Now it's asking how do files get in. We'll say that we'll just upload it to you inside of, oh, whoops, I'm not saying anything. In terms of uploading new files, we'll just upload them inside of the local repository here so that you can commit them to Pinecone and then it can just pull directly from there. Or Vercel blob or Postgres inside of Neon, whichever you deem to be fit. So let's see how it goes with that. So now that we've added all of our keys for Vercel, for the blob, and also for the neon stuff, it should successfully be able to pull all the data from there if it cannot use, if it can't use Pinecone. So it's good that it's been able to distinguish when to use what. It was back over here, actually. It did that. Further, a little bit more. I think it was in here. That's for that chat storage. Okay. So now that that's done, let's go ahead and it's still going. So let's queue up the next message while we wait. Now that all the databases are now confirmed, I want you to update the Jack Webster account specifically with that local chat history. Blah, blah, blah. Yes, great. So proceed with all your changes. So now it's going to go ahead and do all of that. So now it's going to, it has to add a couple of packages. So it's going to add the PDF parsing package. So if you do upload a PDF of any kind, which I assume would be pretty standard for most corporate entities, that it can read all of the contents inside of the PDF and pull it into the chat. Now it needs to, so that's the other thing, is because it wasn't named by the account. It was just stored locally. So perhaps we're going to have to clarify that. Or maybe it should find it actually within the local storage. Let's let it. Is it going to do it? It's taking its time. And it's also going to install the blob dependency as well. Okay. So yeah, this was actually my mistake. The local storage stuff isn't actually linked to the Clerk ID of any kind. You just said that you could also add the local chat storage that we were running on the local host server, and you could add it into the Postgres stuff as well. You just have to go through all of the files and search for the only chat that happened locally, as it wasn't linked to anything yet. So now it's going to go in. Yes, you have access to that. This one's, let's bypass the permissions. We forgot to do that. It should find it, considering it was the only, there we go. It was the only UI we chatted with, luckily. So it can go and commit that into the Postgres stuff now, and it should be able to link that correctly into the random Jack Webster account that we added. If you guys get all this sorted before, like if you link the Clerk stuff before you start chatting with it locally, you shouldn't have this problem. I just did that to demonstrate the functionality in part 1 of the video before we added the authentication. But if you're doing this all in one go, you shouldn't have any sort of issues with that. While that's adding all of that stuff, let's go back to the Chrome stuff. That neon browser can be closed. We don't need that anymore. We don't need this either. Actually, we do need that. We do need the Vercel settings, because we're gonna have to re-upload. Actually, let's do that now while we wait. We're gonna have to re-upload that environmentals variable file, just because we've added some more keys since then. So let's go and upload that. So we've got a problem here. It's saying that it's sensitive, which maybe we have to okay, let's just delete. Is there going to be an easy, is it going to let me delete this easily, or is it going to be a pain? Why do I feel like it's being annoying? Let's try again. Now, even though let's try and untick sensitive and I see. It should be fine. Well, while this is running all that, let's go and create another Claude Code tab. And let's go and ask it why it is not wanting to do that. So let's paste that screenshot and let's say I'm trying to re-add my .env file with the new updated keys, but for some reason it's not letting me recommit to Vercel for some reason. Is it because I've got other pre-existing keys that it's not letting me upload the new file? Do I have to delete everything else and re-add them? But that shouldn't be the problem. So while that's running, let's have a look at where the other one is up to. Almost there. Okay. So it's being annoying. So I think let's just ask, is there a way for you to do it? There isn't, I don't think, but let's just see what it says. Yeah. Okay. This should be almost done by now. Yes, it's on the last stage. Let's run the Vercel CLI. Let's change this. Cool, so that one's finishing up. Okay, so let's double check to make sure that Vercel is logged in locally. So it's going to take us to the browser, or it should. Oh, I've got to visit that. So that'll take you to your browser very quickly. Just allow. And then you guys should be able to close that tab. So we're all signed in. So we have successfully signed in. You can take it from here. And the .env file is inside of the front end folder. .env file. So this stuff should be almost there. It's on the last stages. Okay, cool. You should be able to see all of the existing environmental variables that have been uploaded and just upload the ones that are new and haven't yet been added. Saying, but I need to, yes, that's fine. I can do that. Is the, okay, cool. That's all finished. As soon as it adds those keys, then we can double check to see if that local storage has been added. successfully. Localhost. So let's go and do that whilst we're waiting. So let's go back to Google Chrome and double check. Let's view the localhost. Let's go to the or maybe this was outside of it. Let's take a screenshot of this error and let's go back to Claude Code. When I keep forgetting to switch screens, sorry guys. I got this error when I opened up the dev console. So already there's a mismatch somewhere. Let's have a look at the error specifically. So the problem is inside of the page.tsx file inside of the app folder. So the error is in here for some reason, but there's no syntax, but seemingly next.js seems to think so. Let's have a look though inside of the local folder, if it's even there. Whoops, did not mean to click on that. So it's saying that the Vercel has the project neon ID that is not your .env.local. Maybe let's just try this. Can you bulk delete all of the environmental variables so that I can just re-add them by just dragging and dropping the env folder? Because this process shouldn't be that difficult. Sometimes you'll find this as well with AI. Like sometimes it's just simpler just to delete everything you've got and just re-add because it's trying to like reformat and it just gets too messy. So sometimes a clean refresh or a clean install is better. This will break the live production, that's fine. Okay, good to know that this is not in .env. So let's go back to the Vercel file and let's try and find where that is. So what is that neon project? So I'm just going to go and quickly add that neon project ID. Go back to trying to limit the amount of editing I have to do from leaking these keys. So that's copied, cool. So let's come back. And so it's saying that should be fixed now. Okay, that's good to know. So then we'll reload the page and see if it's successfully done that. So now we can come back to Claude and tell it that it can bulk delete. You can bulk delete all of them because I've just added the neon project ID inside of the env local folder. So run all the commands you need to. So now that's going to go off and do its thing. Now let's come back to inside of the local. Let's refresh the page. Nice. So all of the errors are now gone. That's sick. Sorry, let's see. Let's let you guys see. So now all of those errors that were previously there in that next.js little icon are now gone, which is great. And so now I think it's time, we're almost there. Now we just need to quickly fix this little environmental issue inside of Vercel and then just re-add in all of these keys inside of the .env file, and then we should be good to go. Now, technically, we didn't have any chats appeared inside this specific one, but it would be cool to try and pull those other chats. I did do some chats locally though. There should be some in the project somewhere. Can you do a deep dive and try and find them, please? Now, perhaps that was cancelled out when we originally started using Clerk with outside of our account. That's very possible. But let's just get it to be doubly sure by checking every file thoroughly. Because that'd be a cool use case to try and... Let's let it go and do its deep dive. And now it's deleting all the keys. So let's jump. I think it is deleting all of the... I think it's fine. We've got all of these keys should be there inside of the .env file. So whilst it's finishing doing that, let's come back over to Claude Code and let's double check that it is successfully getting all of that. Damn, it shouldn't take that long to remove those keys. We're almost there. Now you guys have an insight into the development process of a web app. It's not as smooth sailing as a lot of these gurus on YouTube like to make it look. There are a lot of bumps and hurdles in this process. So let's go ahead and redrop this .env file in and click save, and just like that, it has successfully repopulated all of that, and it's prompted me to deploy. So let's go redeploy all of that. Cool. So that'll take a couple of minutes to inject. Now let's go and check back on our Claude Code and let's see how it's gone. Oops. That was weird. Okay, it's still going. Okay. Wow, they're both still running. So this one's trying to go and find that local chat history. Now, it's not the end of the world if it doesn't find it. Obviously, it was just one chat, and you guys hopefully would never have that problem. But just in case you did, it would be cool to try and find that chat storage somewhere. Ah, found it. Yep, that was the correct file. Sick. So... okay, we no longer need to worry about this chat thing. It's just being cautious because of security. Now we need to try and get that uploaded into our Jack Webster account. So it's great that you found it now. Let's try and get that to be live on the Jack Webster account. So you're probably going to have to push that into a Postgres dataset so we can see it like a normal chat. Not a normal chart, a normal chat. So let's just, so it knows what we're trying to communicate. Let's go back to Google Chrome quickly and take a screenshot of the chat interface. Let's paste that in. It should appear on the left-hand side like we were chatting with any other normal LLM. Maybe it can't find it. It's saying it found it, and then it's saying it can't. Not to worry. Let's just queue this message up anyway. In the meantime, while that's doing that, let's go back to Google Chrome and let's see that the deployment has been successfully live or published live. And so this is the other thing as well. You can add your custom domain as well. If you guys are, you can just drop it in there and you can add it to your web app as well. If you work for some company, you can create a subdomain wherever it's hosted, whether it's GoDaddy, whether you host it through Cloudflare as well for extra security. That's the place to do it. So I think that is pretty much it for this entire web app. Let's go and sign out, and let's go and try and log in again just to test that everything is working. It'll send me a code probably. No, it's not. Fantastic. So that's pretty much it on the front end side, guys. It's literally just adding an authentication login and doing all the stuff we did in the original first part of this video, which was linking Pinecone and pulling all the data that was from Obsidian originally into Pinecone to be more concrete. And then from there, you can just add all these other types of files, which we added because we got it to add PDF packages so we can read PDFs and other Word documents and any other files that your company would have. Okay, well, I'm not holding out any hope for this. Oh, you can't see what I've done again. So it's saying like it can't find it, then it's saying it can find it. I'm not holding out hope on this for some reason. It's having trouble pulling the chat data, which is fine. But that is literally the main purpose of this chat, and let's just test it in its final form again. Let's just run something. Let's just say instead of using the default questions, let's just say who are the main industries we target? 1, 2, 3. So it's like a second or two longer than the Obsidian one was, which is fine just because it's no longer being stored locally. It's being stored on the cloud, so it's not as quick by a second, which is fine. But it still successfully pulls all the data, which is great, and it's fulfilling its intended purpose. So that code is still running away. So I'm going to end off the video here. That is successfully, or that is how you actually, A, get a local version of this chatbot working, and B, how you actually deploy it to a live link like this. And then obviously you can add your custom domain on top of it later, so you can actually start giving it out to other people in your other staff members or other colleagues as well. You don't have to obviously link it to your custom domain, but you can do that to present a more professional look and say, hey, we've got a custom chatbot interface with all of our files. So that would be something pretty cool to have as a company. So if you're a business owner and you need more clients, that's what we do. We run done for you cold email. Our campaigns are hitting 22% positive reply rates right now. If you'd like us to do the same for your business, the link to apply is in the description below. And make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of these new build videos we're pumping out. And I look forward to seeing you in tomorrow's video.